Hey everybody, it's the Cynical Clown here. Today I'm going to be telling you about a story that took place on Monday. It's probably the most brutal thing I've seen in probably has to be years. So basically this story takes place in the science class I'm in. It's a science class. It's a pretty anxiety ridden class for me. So I'll give you some context about the class first. Basically I know I know nothing about science. My freshman year was it was coronavirus bullshit. So I was just in class, basically just staring at the basically just cheating, staring at the wall, being on Zoom, just all that bullshit. Where it's just by that class, it was a biology class. So in the entire of biology, I just cheated through, and I got an A, but I did not learn biology. In this class I'm in, it's like a biology of river systems or some shit. So I'm so lost on everything. So I'm always just trying to fucking catch up. I'm slower than the other kids. It's just fucking brutal. Now the really stuff that causes me anxiety is this class is all fucking Chads. Not Chads, but popular kids from my school. I have two of my former one-itises in this class that I used to have major crushes on, and I fucking used to obsess over. One of them I used to obsess over, I think, sophomore year, and then another one I obsessed over in middle school. And I have two one-itises in the class, dude. It's fucking brutal. And then beyond the one-itises, I have a bunch of kids that just used to fucking torment me when I was younger. During my sub-5 era, a bunch of these fucking kids in this class were varied from normies to I'd say school-wise, I get there's normies, Chads, Chadlights, blah, 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 and real world where there's Jordan Barrett would be Chad or something. But in this scenario, it's Chads they're not that good looking, but they're still the Chads of the school, when you do a disparity kind of type thing where you use percentages. But basically, back to the point, these fucking kids would just torment me when I was younger. To be fair, I was fucking annoying and I had no social skills, so I'd kind of deserve it. I'd be gesture maxing and was stupid and shit, but they still were really mean to me and stopped really fed into my current day anxiety. So just being around them and then being around two one-itises. There's some also decent looking girls in this class. So let me turn the light on. So it's just a lot of anxiety. The class is really split into kind of three groups. So there's this Jock Stacy group where there's two I'd say fairly popular dudes in the school, and they're with two one-itises I have, where it's just one's this fucking 6'3" basketball player, and this other one's this I'd say he's I think he's a quarterback for the football team or some shit. But not quarterback, he's some type of football team position. And those two weren't really mean to me when I was younger. It's just they're kind of friends or associated with people that were mean to me. So, and they're with the one-itises. I don't really talk to them at all. Then there's another group, which is kind of the normie group. Those kids some of them in that group were mean to me when I was younger, and it's just dude, it's so annoying. But they treat me so well now that I look better, now that I even mog some of them too, face-wise. I mean, body-wise, they're still bigger than me, and some of them do height mog me, but face-wise, I fucking destroy them. But it's just now, back then, they were just so fucking mean to me. And then the third group is this group of just all Beckies. I didn't really know them until this year, know of them, but now it's just kind of they're just there. And, yeah, basically I'm mid-tier normie now, and they all kind of treat me as I'm mid-tier now that I've ascended. I'm gonna actually rephrase what I'm saying. Last year I kind of ascended from subhuman to mid-tier normie in a very short period of time. So it's I'm still kind of getting out of that whole anxiety ridden phase, and it's a lot of stress. So this story is going to be revolved around a kid in my class. In this class, I'm going to be calling Albert. From the first looks of this guy, I thought he was gay. I thought he was super gay. There's nothing wrong with that, but he dressed feminine, he carries a satchel, like a fucking satchel to carry his like belongings in class to class. He one day last year, the one reason I thought I like recognized this kid, and I didn't know from where, but this kid dressed up as an anime character for school. If you guys like know the JoJo anime, he dressed up as like the main character from that shit, and he was like friends with all the low tier Beckys, and like I don't even understand to this day like why they're hanging around this kid, but basically, yeah, he's friends with all the low tier Beckys, and he's like fucking, he's at least like, I'd say he's a tiny bit, he's low tier normie, or maybe a tiny bit like low tier, like higher low tier normie, but I don't know why all the Beckys were hanging around him. Recently, however, I kind of learned he wasn't gay from the most brutal thing I've ever fucking seen. The most brutal story. Now that's going to start now. So basically, it was on Monday, like I said, we were working on these science projects where it was kind of like foam, like little 3D sculptures, like where you're like doing like a topography thing. And it was like a senior skip day. If you don't know what that is, in America, all like the kids in school, like they'll skip school for it's all the senior, like all the kids in my grade will just skip school to just kind of like just fuck it. I just said fuck it, and I just wanted to go into the school that day, but had a bunch of missing assignments, and it's also like, well, the only thing I was going to do is play video games and probably watch fucking DBDR or some shit, which is extremely brutal. So I was like, fuck it, let's just go to school. That led to me and just the class being me and a bunch of like low tier, me and all the Beckys. And Albert, of course, Albert was there, and the teacher. I'm sitting alone doing my project, and everyone's socializing since like all the Chads aren't there, all the Beckys are just like fucking around and having fun, and I'm just sitting there like autistic alone, like just sitting there minding my own business, like, and I'm not gonna even like try to act all like Sigma or like I was being a fucking stoic, man. No, I was anxious as fuck. Like if they talked to me, I was gonna shit my pants, even though like I mogged them. It's fucking crazy. They even like eventually they actually did try talking to me too, and I gave them like the most autistic like responses. Like they asked like one of them, they were trying to like start conversations with me. Like originally it was like simple shit like, hey, you know where the hot glue gun is? And I was just like, it's over there. And I like said in like the most autistic, like I think I like tried to rush a deep voice, but it was like came out like kind of squeaky. It's over there, like some little weird mutter. And so like that happened, and then they like one of the girls bring like a lizard over, like they were fucking with like the teacher's lizard, like he was like letting them play with it, and they bring it over to me and tried talking to me, and I was like, oh, that's cool, you should give it to Albert. And I like just kind of like basically told him to fuck off in like a nice way. And then the girl who asked me about the hot glue gun walked up to me again and was just trying to talk some shit, and I didn't even know what she was saying. Yeah, during this, I'm still working on my project. I'm, like, anxious about getting this all done, but I kind of missed a day, so I was trying to, like, catch up, getting that, like, 3D modeling project done. I'm just minding my own business, really, until, I hear the most brutal fucking thing come out of Albert's mouth when I, bring up on the original part of the video. Albert has the fucking audacity to ask the fucking girls he's sitting with for dating advice, dude. Dude, he asks them, do you have any advice on how to get this girl I like? And they're all, like, going back and forth. And, like, one of the girls brings up, dude, you have a crazy crush on Sophia. You just love her, don't you? You love her. I'm using Sophia as, like, a made-up name. That's not, like, an actual name or anything. But, he's like, yeah. And he's, like giving them, like, these, like, weird fucking muttery responses. He's like, yeah. And this, like, one girl just keeps fucking with him and tormenting him. And they're all, like, giving him, like, a little, like, shitty dating advice, like, mixed red pill, blue pill, like, pickup tips. And it was just so fucking brutal to hear. And, like, that was already making me chuckle at that point. Because he was just, like, he asked these fucking normie girls who he's friends with for dating advice. And if you ask a girl, it's just so pathetic. And then one of the girls, like, starts fucking trolling him, like, after they just start giving him, like, this, like, fucking stupid advice, like, wear a new hairstyle, dress different, talk more confident, like, that bullshit. So one of the girls, like, just starts, like, realizing this kid's a fucking beta. So, she walks up to the teacher and asks him, have you ever been in a relationship? And, not really have you ever been in a relationship. It was more like, let me rephrase that. It was more, do you have a wife? And then of course he has a wife. He's a fucking 56-year-old man. He says, yeah, I have a wife. Of course. There's a Mrs. I'm not going to say the last name. But, and then she ends up like, how'd you meet her? Blah, blah, blah. Like all that fucking, like, it was kind of like some like girly movie type shit, what she was asking. How'd you meet her? Was it a love story? Blah, blah, blah. He basically says he met her in like 8th grade and shit. Albert has the fucking, like, she basically says, like, maybe you can give Albert some tips. And the fucking teacher is just uncomfortable at this point, but he knows this girl's just trolling Albert. And he's just, like, shaking his head and, like, kind of chuckling to himself, like, oh my god, it's more brutal. If I fucking make eye contact, we both are just fucking chuckling, shaking our heads. And I've fucking barely talked to this guy. He thinks I'm, like, a psychopath. And, from other shit. But, basically, fucking Albert has the audacity to, ask the teacher how he met his wife and asks him, like, for fucking pickup advice, dude. The fucking teacher is just like, oh, you just gotta be confident, or fucking some bullshit he muttered. He was just always uncomfortable. And right when I fucking hear, like, Albert ask the teacher for dating advice, I just fucking start dying. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, it wasn't like, it wasn't like that. It was more of a, what the fuck, like a fucking spurg of muttering, like, shit came out of me. Like, what the fuck? Like, a bunch of, like, fucking, oh, dude. He asked the fucking teacher for fucking dating advice. And, like, meanwhile, the fucking girls were doing it to troll him. He just walked right up and said, oh, maybe you could give me advice on how to date her. Or you guys, I just want to love her. And he's, like, fucking one-itising this girl in front of everyone in the class. And he's, like, just fucking asking for fucking advice. That's, oh, dude. My blood pressure, when he asked that shit, went off the fucking roof. And it's just, come on, dude. I thought it was gay, dude. I honestly thought he was gay until I heard that shit. I mean, I did hear, like, a tiny bit before that. Like, the girls were making fun of him a few days before, like, saying he did have, like, making fun of him for having the one-itis. And, like, saying, oh, you have a big fat crush on her, on Sophia. And it's just like, dude, Albert, what the fuck? Yeah, that's the second, like, my second video. Thank you guys for listening. I'll probably remake this story in the future just because how gold it is once I have some better speaking skills. I'll see ya. Goodbye.